Hi there, this is Joy, and welcome to another Inspiration Friday video with my friend Fleur. This month we hope to inspire you by creating a different style or kind of scrapbook layout, and I have chosen to work with some pocket pages. This year I am working on a project called Project Life. This is a project that was started by a lady by the name of Becky Higgins. If you are not familiar with this project, I will link to Becky Higgins down in the description area so you can find out more about the project on her YouTube channel. I have a bin that I'm going to show you that I have all of the supplies that I use for Project Life every week. I don't let the supplies grow outside of this bin. I have done that before in the past and have felt very overwhelmed by the amount of product that I had, and I was spending a lot of time searching for things in and amongst all of the supplies that I had. So I cut back and I keep everything in that one bin. This week I have a lot of cute little dog photos, and I'm going to use some themed products from Jilly Bean Soup, and it's just a pet package that I have. Now, because this project is reoccurring, I do have a routine I go through. It's just the workflow I've created while doing this project on a regular basis. I always stamp the date on the title card in the upper left. I always use the same style of page protector because then I know how many photos I need and what size they need to be, and that's really helped me get these layouts finished. The next step I go to is either usually going through some embellishments that I'm going to use on some of the photos, or I go and search through the stack of cards that I have for the 3x4 spots that you see in the middle that are blank. This is where I'm going to do some journaling about what has occurred during that week. So here we are back after I picked out some of the journaling cards and some of the embellishments that I'm going to use. The next step in my process is usually to go and actually do the journaling on the cards, and I normally do that with an old typewriter because I'm not a huge fan of my handwriting, although I do try to include that in spaces. So I'm going to show you a little trick that I do with my journaling cards. Because they are short and the width of the barrel that they roll around on the typewriter sometimes means that I cannot get to the very bottom of the card. So what I end up doing is I have a 5x7 piece of cardstock, and I simply adhere the 3x4 card to that and then insert that into the typewriter, and it allows me to go from the top to the bottom if I wanted to fill the card with journaling. So the next stage in my process is usually now to finish off all of the embellishment. Sometimes I will change sentiments around on a card. I like the card, but the sentiment doesn't work with the journaling that I've written, so I just paste something over top as I'm doing here. I will go through and stamp on photos at this stage as well. I'm going to pull out some Ali Edwards stamps here. I have loved Ali Edwards text style stamps for a really long time, so I have some old ones and I have some new ones. I actually recently just joined up for her story kits, which are for pocket page and scrapbooking and regular scrapbooking, but it contains story starters, which I think is very inspiring and will help me get some stories told in my Project Life album. So I'm using archival ink to stamp on my photos simply because I did not grab out my StazOn ink, and in a little bit you'll see that the stamping that I'm doing did not turn out on one of the photos. So you have a couple options. You can reprint your photo, but I didn't want to waste the time to reprint the photo, and I didn't want to, use more photo paper. So I'm gonna basically cover up my mistake with some cardstock and then turn it into a little decorative banner. So when I stamp, I normally test out the stamping because sometimes when you have a new stamp, there's a manufacturing residue left over on the stamp, and that will prevent you from getting a good image within the first couple of uses of that stamp. So I always test it on a piece of cardstock before I actually stamp onto my photo. Now I made a mistake while I was stamping on this photo. I did not get a good impression the first time I stamped. I did try stamping it again, and I did not like the results. So I have two options. One, I can take the time and reprint the photo, or two, I can come up with a solution to cover it up. So in this case, I am going to cover it up. I should have used Stays On ink, which works on glossy surfaces, but I just opted for the ink that I had at hand. Now, because I can tend to be a bit of a lazy crafter, I do tend to go for the cover-up solution more often than reprinting the photo. I'd love to hear from you. If you would leave a comment below the video and let me know if you like this kind of abbreviated version of the process of creating project life layouts, or if you'd like to see more of my process, which would mean a slightly longer video. As always, you can find a link to Fleur's YouTube channel so you can head over and see how she was inspired. Thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care, and I'll see you next time.